Official. I used to think all I needed were the official SH Figuarts Dragon Ball figures. But some of the unofficial stuff looks unbelievable. Over the years, I felt tempted to get into Demonical Fit, Tonsen arts, Kong, or Beast Deities, or whatever it is that they're calling themselves now. So today I'm diving into the realm of third-party Dragon Ball figures to determine once and for all if they're worth it. And it's all thanks to Kowkis Toys, who sent me not one, not two, but 3 third-party Dragon Ball figures so I could make this video for you all. But before we get to these, let me explain how I got here. In 2018, I started making dioramas and ultimately got into SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z figures after my wife gave me this Super Saiyan Awakening Goku for Christmas that year. And then I was hooked, quickly picking up the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, Dragon Ball Super Frieza, and the Super Vegito figure. And things escalated from there. After a while, I started seeing third-party figures from Demonical Fit, but had heard bad things about some of their Guinea Force figures, and had seen them announce a lot of figures that never made it to market. So I decided to stay away for the time being. Then I noticed other companies started joining in and really gave SH Figuarts a run for their money, literally. And of course, there is an entire market of talented creators making custom heads, accessories, and upgrade kits for Dragon Ball Z figures, which were so enticing as an avid collector of the franchise. So I decided to dip my toe in the waters of third-party stuff by getting some custom heads from Worm Studios and Recustom Studios, as well as an Air Studio shirt accessory for the legendary Super Saiyan Goku, which were so cool and for me increased the fun factor on these. I have an entire video on my channel that shows some of these upgrades if you want to take a look. And really, after getting those upgrades, I thought to myself, it's time. The problem is, I waited too long and missed out on what are considered the best third-party DBZ figures, like the base form Demonical Fit Goku, the Kong Studios Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and the Tonsen Arts Future Trunks figures. By the time I had come around, getting those figures would have costed me quite a bit of zen. That's where Kowkis Toys comes in. They're an online retailer that offers many of the third-party Dragon Ball figures you want for your collection, but they also have a slew of other brands like the official DBZ figures from Bandai, Haya, Mezco, Hot Toys, Super 7, Storm Collectibles, and a lot more. They sent me the Tonsen Arts Adolescent Malevolence, aka Kid Buu, the Demonical Fit Trump Card, aka Vegito, and the Demonical Fit Legendary Berserker figure, otherwise known as Broly, which at the time of making this video are all still in stock on their website. Let's start with Buu. This figure retails for around $80 and it comes in 2 versions, the manga version, which is the one that I have here in my hands, and an anime colored version. The anime colored version is a little more expensive than this one and comes with some different accessories. Okay, so whenever this first came out, I thought that this looked really cool, and I actually thought that this honestly looked like it could actually be an official SH Figuarts Kid Buu. So let's see if it holds up to that. Alright, we've got 2 different trays in here. We have the actual figure tray itself, which this thing looks awesome in hand. And then we have the accessory tray. But yeah, these look really cool so far. So let's actually open it up and see. Oh wow, okay. Oh, this feels solid. This feels official to me. It looks great. The joints are not loose at all. In fact, they're a little bit stiff. But this looks perfect for Kid Buu in my opinion. He's the right size. He's got the look of the Majin Buu Saga, that art style, I think, and I'm super impressed just taking this right out of the tray like that. And we're gonna take a closer look at some of the accessories and the heads that come in here, but man, these really are a standout for this release. They have some very expressive Buu heads. You've got some ones where he looks super evil, some screaming ones, and some other silly kind of ones, and so I think this is gonna be a lot of fun. Let's take a closer look. Okay, so like I mentioned, this Buu comes with quite a bit of accessories, and I want to start out by kind of showing you guys everything that's in here. He has, of course, the head that's on his body, which is more the neutral face. Then he has 5 other heads that come with this. He's got this accessory, which is supposed to be more of that gummy kind of Boo body, almost ghost-like Boo body accessory that you can attach to it. And then he has a beam effect that comes with a little stand that you can put to prop it up when you're using it with the figure. This is the head that comes stock in the box. This is your stoic Boo expression. And I love this one. Here's Angry Boo, that you can use in all kinds of battle poses. If things are not going his way, this is gonna be your head sculpt for that. This one's not actually snapping in on the neck peg for some reason, but this looks to be more of like a smug Boo type of face, and I think that this, like all the other faces, looks really good. This is a funny one. It's just really silly, I think, but really good likeness to the character, of course. It seems like some of these secondary heads, you have to heat them up before they'll get on the neck peg, which I haven't done yet. And this is your taunting face, so this is gonna be very specific use, but you can definitely see where this comes from in the manga or the anime, and I think it looks perfect. And then this might be the best one in the whole bunch. This is just him yelling or, you know, doing something crazy. Love the over-exaggerated jaw on the expression here. I really feel like this represents the character so well. Something cool that I wanted to mention to you guys about these is that the heads have different depths to the neck pegs. So this one is actually made, because it's kind of a silly face, it's actually made to sit right on the shoulder, so you almost don't even see the neck anymore when you use this one, and that's strategically done for this expression, whereas all of the other ones, for the most part, you still see the neck when you put this on the neck peg. So that's a little feature that really makes this thing very cool, especially for a third-party figure. And here's Boo's signature beam effect. You can attach the wrist peg right here, and then it also has a little area for the stand, and basically just have this be supported while you're using the figure in toy photography or your displays. Overall, I really love the way that this Kid Boo looks. I think it's incredibly done. It's actually, like I said, it's a little stiff, so I might want to heat this up a little bit. He's just so much fun to pose. He's just really looks like an official figure, in my opinion, and I think he has some interesting things going on. He doesn't have like any crazy mobility in terms of his articulation on the knees. You guys can kind of see that's about as far back as he can go, and he can kick forward a decent amount, which will be important for fighting poses and things like that. The legs are a little bit more loose, in my opinion, than the upper body. He's got this cut here where you can swivel, so that's going to help with the posability. And then, of course, he has the double jointed elbows, and he's got some decent neck mobility as well. His ab articulation, I would think it's pretty good. There's a lot going on here in terms of the different cuts, so you can get him to go way back because of this. He's got some decent mobility there, but I don't think that this is going to be a problem to pose up the way that you want based on the articulation scheme. One of the criticisms I have of this is that there's not a lot in terms of his ankle mobility. It doesn't, I mean, it feels like when you're placing him down, you'd want the ankles to be on an inward angle, but they're not. I can't really show you with those rocks on the Dio. But I haven't really had any problems yet standing him with these. It just, it doesn't seem ideal. But like I said, I can still kind of get him into the poses that I want him to be in. And he's got some butterfly joints here, so you can get some good pec stretch kind of motions on him. And you can have him kind of sink his shoulders in like that. But it is a bit stiff out the box, so I would just say definitely go ahead and heat this up before you really get crazy with the posing, which is what I plan to do. And at this point in the review, I don't think it's any secret that I really like this guy, and I really wanted to call out just the sculpt work on him. I don't know, with these little, they're almost like the little spouts that he shoots air out of. They're sculpted on, and the detail on that is really good, and it's all the way throughout the figure. So that's something that I think is a great highlight for this character, and I honestly don't think they could have done a better job with the overall aesthetic of this. This looks perfect, in my opinion, for the Kid Buu saga in Dragon Ball Z. Let's go from the smallest to the biggest next. It's Broly time, who for some reason is upside down in the box. But hey, it's a third-party figure, and as long as everything's in the box, I'm good. There are so many Broly figures on the market, ranging from the official stuff to several third-party options. And of course, you've got the old school, non-canon Dragon Ball Z Broly from the movies, and the new Dragon Ball Super design for the character that is canon. This is the Dragon Ball Z design, which I personally prefer. And this retails for around $85. Okay, so this is a huge box, and I mentioned that he's upside down. The tray is upside down in the box, which is something that I think other people I've seen on Reddit and some Facebook groups have experienced as well. I think that might just be something that happened in the factory, not a huge deal. But let's go ahead and open this. And this, I think this is going to be the biggest Dragon Ball figure that I have, just in terms of sheer size. And here, oh, he comes with a stand. Look at the size of this thing. This is a absolute behemoth. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that he's huge, bulky. I like Broly as a character. He's not like one of my top characters from Dragon Ball, but I always felt like this version of him was so interesting because it's so kind of like outlandish with the body proportions. It almost looks to me like a PS1 Final Fantasy type art, Final Fantasy VII type artwork. And just manipulating this thing, we're gonna go over the articulation and everything, but he feels pretty solid. I would say not as solid as the Buu figure. That really feels like an official SH Figuarts figure. This one's got a lot of clicking and all kinds of things like that happening, but it's still insanely cool. He comes with a bunch of accessories, including this little, I guess, his necklace piece. It fell off his chest. You have to pop that into his chest. There you go. And now we've got it on there. But man, this thing is a beast. So here we have the Broly figure, which this thing is huge. Like, to hold this in your hand, I mean, it's 1/12 scale because it's SH Figuarts, but it's almost a 12-inch figure. I don't know exactly how tall it is, but it's a lot to hold this guy in your hand. And I've said this before, but when you move him around, this shoulder is a little bit more loose than this one for some reason, and I'm getting a lot of clicks, so I don't love that. But one thing I do think is great is the muscular shading that they have on him. It's not something that you usually see on SH Figuarts figures, so that's definitely a bonus for the Demonical fit Legendary Berserker. That's very cool. As far as the heads go, you've got the base plate, which is the neutral face for Broly, and I think that looks good. Of course, Broly doesn't have pupils when he's in his Super Saiyan form, so of course this figure does not have pupils. When you're swapping this out, the face sculpt's out, you've got to take the bangs off, which have 3 ports, and then you take the faceplate off. You can pop the faceplates back in with the bangs. Here he is yelling. This is very important for Broly because he's a high aggression, high emotion character, and that looks really good in my opinion. And if you're a Dragon Ball Z villain, you need a smug, smirking face because all of the characters who are villains really have these, and just kind of shows like the arrogance or the personality of the character. And so this is a great one. I really like the way this looks. And accessory wise, he comes with these 3 energy orb and a Goku faceplate that lets you recreate this moment. So he's got these kind of complex shoulder joints, but he's got some really good outward mobility on these. Like, it's not really a butterfly joint. It's kind of, but it doesn't incorporate anything into the chest. It's all behind the chest and the shoulder. His shoulders can kind of come up like this to make him look super big, super menacing if you wanted to do that. His arms are, they're not really double jointed because of how big the bicep is, but you guys just saw that right shoulder is loose for me. It fell down just without even doing anything, so you can kind of see that's loose. This side though isn't, so I don't know if that's just my copy. You saw this just fell off for whatever reason. You know, I've never handled Demonical fit figures before this video, and it just seems like they don't have their peg system down. Everything is loose and falling out, like this breastplate or this whatever this is necklace on Broly. I don't think it's gonna stay in at this point. That's really disappointing to me. His ab, he doesn't really have an ab crunch. It's more of like his chest, but he can go down a decent amount. He can go up a little bit. He has, let's see, he's got these pieces here which you can manipulate and articulate a bit. So you can kind of get him into crouching or kicking positions because his legs come up about that much. He just feels a bit loose, to be honest. Aside from this shoulder, which feels extremely tight, the rest of him feels a bit loose to me. He's also not the easiest to stand up with these ankles, so keep that in mind. But I mean, I think that he's going to be totally serviceable for toy photography and definitely in display. And he just looks super cool in this kind of diorama, especially with like an impact crater in the background, which he could definitely be responsible for. And last, but maybe not least, we're about to find out, is Vegito. Of the three, this one's box is a bit banged up. I'm not an inbox collector, so that doesn't really matter too much to me, but if you are, it might matter to you. Before I even open this up, I have to say that I really love that they included base form and Super Saiyan heads in one package. We don't often get that with SH Figuarts. Okay, wow, this is a full tray that the Demonical Fit gave us. There is a ton of stuff in here because you've got the Super Saiyan head and the base form head. So let's go ahead and take a look at this thing. First thing I noticed, I'm not sure if this is my copy, but for me, the neck on this, like the head is sitting really high up on the neck in my opinion. It didn't look that way on the box or in the promo photos that I saw, so I wanted to point that out. And then something interesting about this that I don't think we see a ton on SH Figuarts is it looks like there's a pretty interesting shading gradient on the legs from darker to lighter on his blue pants. So that's pretty interesting. Of the three, I feel as though this feels and looks, you know, a different level of quality than the other two, I would say. Just initial reaction to it. But like I said, there's a ton of accessories included for the Vegito. So now we're gonna take a look at those. So the first thing, I mentioned this in the unboxing, but to me, the neck of this is just too long, or the head sits too high on the neck. It just looks a little bit weird to me. I feel like it should be a little bit further down. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. But this is the stock Super Saiyan head that comes on the figure in the box. And I do really like what they've done with the stylized line work on the hair that we got in the Buu Saga art style of Dragon Ball Z. And I think it does look pretty good. I don't think this Vegito face looks as good as the official ones that I've seen. That's just my opinion. And then in this box, of course, we have a ton of stuff in the tray. It's a single tray. It comes with 3 other Super Saiyan faceplates, 4 base form faceplates, including the base form head. Then it has, let's see, let's call this 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of hands. There's an extra hand with his signature technique on it, a hand that has a Majin Buu tail, his crossed arms because of course Vegito is 1/2 of Vegeta, so he needs that. And then this is really cool. I love this technique where he has like the beam sword on the end of his hand. You can insert the hand in there. So this thing looks awesome, and I think it's so cool that they included it. So just starting out with the secondary face sculpts, and again, honestly, it's bothering me how high up this head is sitting on this neck. But the face sculpt looks pretty good. This is your kind of more so Vegeta half where he looks very smug. Something that's interesting and I think maybe a little unnecessary is that you can swap out these bangs. There's 2 sets of bangs that come with this figure and they're not that different. I mean, I guess it's cool for versatility if you like that. I just feel like they're gonna fall out unnecessarily because the face sculpts and the bangs themselves don't stay in, I think, as much as I would like for them to. And then because they've made that choice, it only comes with 2 bangs. So you actually have to take the bangs off the other head sculpts and put them in. That might not bother other people. It's not my favorite choice, but it still looks pretty cool, I would say. I do think that the yelling yelling face, to me, there's something off about it. I'm not sure that it looks as good as kind of the official figure would. So then the same scenario with this last faceplate where he looks a little frustrated, a little angry. Again, I think the first two we saw are better than the second two face sculpts, just in terms of how good they look. But again, this will get the job done in your displays or in your toy photography. And I do really love that they gave us the base form heads for this Vegito figure. And I think that, again, the hair has that stylized line work to it that is reminiscent of this period in Dragon Ball Z, so I think that looks good. And the yelling face here, I think it looks okay. It doesn't look like we get the full emotion in the face, which you would think you would get in like a yelling faceplate. And on the base form head, you have the same situation where you do have to pop the bangs into each faceplate. And again, like I think this is a little... That kind of just made my point for me. I dropped the bangs. I think this is a little bit unnecessary, and it's a little frustrating to have to put those in every time. So I'm probably just going to have one set on most of the time just to minimize the frustration of that. But I think this face sculpt looks pretty good. It's kind of a smug Vegito face. For some reason, I feel like the base form face sculpts look a little bit better than the Super Saiyan one. Not sure if that's actually the case or it's just my perception of it. And here's the base form Vegito neutral face, and I actually think this is the best face sculpt in the entire set, including the Super Saiyan and the base form heads. What do you guys think? I want to try out some of the accessories, so let's go ahead and put this hand, which I think is the hand you can use with the sword accessory, beam sword hand. This is so cool. I gotta say, like, this is one of the highlights for the figure for me. Definitely gonna have some fun having him kind of use this in some photography, which I'll show you guys. But man, that just looks so cool to me. I love that. And then this is another really awesome accessory where you have this signature technique. I don't know what it's called. If you know the name of it, please let me know in the comments, where he's got basically energy on each one of his fingers. And I think that so far the highlight of this figure is these accessories that come with it. They're really cool. And I just want to point out for anyone who might want to get this, the face plates come off of this really easily. Like, I was just switching out the wrist peg and the face plate just came right off as I was doing that. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to buy these. And if you just saw that, the arm actually came out extremely easily on this. So I want to make sure that's something that you're aware of too. When I was trying to add the Majin Buu tail accessory to the wrist peg. So this looks really cool, but like I said, the arm is extremely loose at the bicep, so it just completely came out when I was putting this on. And I think the reason the bicep area is so loose is because you have the crossed arm, which is two pieces, and you have to pop them off at that point. So let's see how this works. Just snap both of these off. This one's a little bit more stubborn, the left arm, than the right. In fact, I don't even really want to take this off because I think I'm gonna have to heat it up before I put this on. But basically what you'll do is put them on one at a time, and then you'll get the crossed arms. I'll show you guys a picture of this after I get a chance to actually heat this up and take this off so I don't break it. For Vegito, this is... For Vegito's articulation, this is basically the Demonical fit version of a 2.0 body for SH Figuarts. So there's not anything really that remarkable. If you have a 2.0 figure for SH Figuarts, it's essentially the same. It just feels to me a little bit different. This is supposed to be a double jointed knee. It's not really bending the same way that the SH Figuarts do at both parts of the joint. So that's something to keep note of. This side is a little bit better. The figure to me just feels honestly a little bit cheaper. And you saw at the start of this that the faceplate just fell off when I was posing this. So definitely factor that in. But at the same time, if you don't have a Vegito and you don't want to pay aftermarket prices for an official one, this is an option that you might want to consider. He's got pretty good neck mobility, but I've mentioned it a bunch of times. It's just the neck looks really long to me. You guys can see me just simply trying to push the neck down. I'm having a lot of problems with this faceplate sticking on, and that's the same whether you're using the Super Saiyan or the base form faceplate. It's got the same kind of setup as the SH Figuarts Saiyan boots as well, so it's not the easiest to, you know, pose him in terms of those ankles are not the best. But again, you're going to be able to get, you know, him into some good poses and things like that. And for me, I don't have a Vegito aside from this one, so it's still really cool to have this, even with some of the minor frustrations that I mentioned. Now, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I did not pay for these. But I do think, after looking at all three of them, that there are some really good things about each one of them. Although I do want to rank these in terms of my favorite to least favorite. Coming in at third for me is going to be Vegito. I think that there are a lot of things that are good about this figure, but the combination of the loose faceplates and the high head on the neck peg and the arms popping out, there's just a lot of loose joints and things on this that make it a little bit frustrating. But there's some really good things with this too, because he has a Super Saiyan head and he has base form head. He has a lot of really cool accessories. So overall, this is definitely a worthwhile figure. It's just, if you're asking me what's my favorite between these three, it's definitely not this one. Number 2 for me is going to be the Demonical fit Broly. This is awesome. I don't have a Broly in my collection, so now I do, and it's the look for Broly that I really like. I feel like he's a good height. I know there's another Broly out there that's actually bigger than this one, but for me, having never had that one, this size is really, really cool. I think that the shading is awesome on him. I think that his face sculpts are really good. He's just, again, I don't know if it's a demoniacal fit thing, but the joints and things are a little inconsistent. Some things are really loose, some things are really tight. So he's going to be number 2 for me. And that means the biggest thing came in the smallest package in this video, because Kid Buu is my favorite of the 3. And he is the only Tonsen Arts figure in the bunch. So that makes me think that maybe Tonsen has a little bit of a better handle on some of the articulation, sculpt work, and things like that than Demonical fit. So I would like to take a look at some other Tonsen art stuff in the future. I mean, of these 3, this one looks like it could be an official figure, and I think that says a lot. So yes, I was wrong about third-party Dragon Ball figures. Were you?